Have you ever wanted to build a computer on your own? This short video will give you a glimpse into how you can do it. But before we start, a quick word from my sponsor. Whether you're looking to buy refurbished technology, sell your old equipment, or repair a current machine, itfix.se have got your back. Get in touch as soon as possible to get a quote. Back to the video. To build a computer, there are a couple of things that you will need besides a screwdriver. I will show you what I will be using, but keep in mind that this computer that I am building has some proprietary parts. First off, a motherboard. This will connect the components together. Secondly, a processor. This will do the computing. Thirdly, something to cool the processor, like a CPU cooler. You will also need a minimum of one RAM module. This is the short-term memory. A storage device like an SSD or hard drive. My computer has some proprietary parts. The power supply is one of them. My case has a power supply built in, but most computers will have it as a separate part. To get a good connection between the processor and the cooler, you will need some thermal paste. I won't be using one today, but just so you're familiar, this is a graphics card. And last but not least, you will probably want a case to put the components in and mount everything. Alright, that's all, so let's get into the tutorial. You're gonna want to start by unlatching the locking lever. Once that is done, you can slot in the CPU or processor into the socket. Then it's time to close the latch. This will take a bit of pressure, so don't be too scared. Now it's time for the RAM. Make sure to align the notches on the motherboard and the RAM module. Once aligned, put even pressure on both sides of the module. You should hear some clicks when the latches lock. Now that we have done everything that can be done outside the case for this particular computer, it's time to install the motherboard into the case. Just try your best to slot it in and try to avoid jamming cables underneath it. To check that the motherboard is correctly installed, make sure that screw holes match up with the ones in the case and make sure that all the I/O ports are aligned on the back. Now that that has been done, we can install the CPU cooler. Some people do this before they install the motherboard, but I find it easier after. Let's start with some thermal paste. Put a decent amount on, about a grain of rice worth. Now we can finally put on the cooler. Once again, make sure that everything aligns before you start screwing. Once everything matches up, screw on the cooler in a crisscross pattern to put even pressure everywhere. After that has been done, it's time to screw down the motherboard. This could have been done first, but in this case it was easier to mount the cooler first. In most cases you should screw in the power supply once you're done screwing in the motherboard, but I won't do this as my power supply is built into my case. And now it's time to start plugging everything into the motherboard. This step is really different from computer to computer. I usually start with the larger ones from the power supply, then try to match the rest up. Most of the connectors will only go in the way that they're meant to, so don't be too scared. Now we will plug in the SSD. To do this, we need to plug in the appropriate power and data cables into the power supply, motherboard and the SSD. Once that's plugged in, we're basically good to go. It doesn't look too good, but in its current state, it's fully functional and ready to be used. Thank you for watching and I hope you learned something. Please don't use this as your only instruction, as I don't go into too much detail about each step. Happy PC building and good luck!